It's Halloween, it's Halloween. Hey YouTube, it's Halloween, and today we're going to be talking about the Shags. Now, I don't listen to the Shags. I'm not going to say they're my favorite album or band like Kurt Cobain did because I'm being realistic. I have listened to History of the World, the one and only album release from the band The Shags. I've listened to it, and every year, this is how I choose to celebrate Halloween. Now, I'm not going to go on a bunch of lectures about society and how we took everything and threw it away, except for Halloween. People love to do it up on Halloween. We've turned our back on all tradition, and perhaps turn our back is not strong enough of a word. Um, I never really was down with Halloween. My mom was really into Jesus, so we didn't do it. We gave out chick tracts. That's CHICKTRACT. Chick tract. And if you don't know what that is, you should look it up. Look up Chick tracts. They have a website where you can go and read them. And my job was to give this out instead of candy. We would give the kids Chick tract, and then they would learn that they were going to hell, that they had already traded their soul to Satan, and they had AIDS. So you definitely don't want to miss out on the Chick tracts. Now, the Shags is a band from the East Coast. I'm not a pro tech or expert about this band, but I do really, this is how I celebrate this time of year, is I will always, without fail, on this day, I will put on the song It's Halloween. And I would suggest you make this part of your celebration as well. So I'm going to tell you the story of the Shags. I've got some recommendations for you too. Try to be quick about this one. This guy, he had his mother was a palm reader. She was a bit of a witchy poo, and she used to like to predict the future. So she read his thing and told him, "Well, you are going to meet a woman of strawberry blondish hair, and you are going to marry this woman. You're going to have two little boys, and then I'm going to die." So this dude meets this woman, arguable strawberry blonde. I mean, I thought she just had brown hair, but what do I know? They have two boys, and then his mother does pass away. Now, that was not the end of her prediction. She went on to say, "After I die, you will have three girls. I have three daughters who will go on to become kind of famous as a direct result of their work in a little music group." So this guy's going on living his life. He's has these two boys. Mom dies, and they have three girls, and he thinks, well, it's clear as day what the next step would be: pull the kids out of school and start training them at the School of Rock because they're going to be in a band and change the world. So these girls, I mean, they were kind of a sheltered family. They were Christians, they were like church type people. And they had no exposure to music, the girls. He bought them instruments, and they had a daily schedule, which was wake up and practice your instrument. Then they would have group practice, where they would function with a drummer and two girls playing guitar and singing, and they would write original music. Then they would do their in home school tutelage, they would do their reading and writing and arithmetic, and in the evening it was time for calisthenics because nobody likes a. I'm not going to say it. This was 67. It was like Twiggy. I don't know if you know that. Like you had to be 18 pounds or you were, you know, you weren't fab. And it's funny how we are on our women like that. I won't go on a lecture about how I like women. I don't like little girls. I'm surrounded by pedophile guys who see a 9-year-old girl walk by in the school bus and they're elbowing me. I'll just say that was never my style. I like women. I don't like little girls. I mean, they're fine, but I'm not going to sexualize them. Well, I had 2 daughters, and I saw that type of thing going on. You know, you'd be at the grocery store and you turn around and you see the entire produce department of these Hispanic guys masturbating. You know. Anyway, the Shags played a gig, and it did not go well. They were thrown. They were booed, heckled, and they were throwing cabbages at them. Got them another gig, like a weekly gig, playing the like a dance type thing at maybe the VFW Hall, local thing. And like half of the people would come to heckle them, the other half would come to dance. Um, the next move was, it was obvious, to get them into the studio to record an album. So he took them down there, and the guys at the studio told them, look, you know, they're not ready. And the father's response was to insist, to push it and say, no, we got to get them recorded and strike while it's hot. So this album exists. It's called The Shags Philosophy of the World. It's about 35 minutes. And the 2 songs that are the ones you always see is My Pal Foot Foot and It's Halloween. I really like It's Halloween. There's a fuzzbox guitar in there that does this punctuated little riff. And it's just got more charm musically and structurally. It just works a little better. Some of the other songs on the album sound more of a mess, but it's really weird because they're so consistently wrong. Like the instruments they're playing appear to be out of tune. Now that maybe half of that might be just that these guitars were so cheap that they didn't intonate. I don't know, but it seems when you listen to the Shags, like the drummer is playing one song, the guitars are playing another song, and then their vocals are playing another song. But it's consistent. They're consistently flat on the vocals. The drum beat, it's like, how could you even play that drum beat and then play that guitar line over it? Because it's so wrong, but they did. This is unfiltered, uninfluenced. It's like if you throw these people who have no preconceived notion about what this music should be, this is what they came up with. So it is kind of interesting and fascinating. I wouldn't go so as far as some people, like Frank Zappa's quoted as saying that they're better than the Beatles, which that's just Frank being Frank. Kurt Cobain claimed that this was his favorite album of all time, but I think this is something, you know, cute that he could say in an interview. Also, Kurt Cobain, side note, we're going on a little side trail here. Kurt Cobain, he said his favorite band was Shonen Knife. And I remember looking into them, thinking how cool it was that it was a Japanese girl group, like a power trio. Any trio right away is a couple extra cool points for me because I love trios. But the more I found out about that band, the more it seemed like it was not as sincere as I had hoped they would be. Like looking at their set list and like they had like matching outfits, like it just seemed like it was kind of maybe a little bit more manufactured than I had hoped. I had hoped that it was this like bizarre thing, not what it turned out to be. And that band, I would say, is another guy. Mike Patton is the vocalist from Faith No More, and countless other things. Fantomas, Tomahawk, another great band. Dead Cross, Mr. Bungle, best band of all time. Michael Allen Patton, he was on record saying his favorite band was Melt Banana. And that's going to be my recommendation for you guys. You should check out the Shags. You're not going to be able to make it through the whole album, trust me. You could listen to My Pal Foot Foot, the song it's about a cat that kept running away, despite the fact that they amputated 2 of its feet. My Pal Foot Foot, bizarre piece of music. And then it's Halloween. This is the song that I choose to celebrate the Devil's Day, with is this is what I do. I will all you'll always hear me dancing along to the strains of the Shags. It's Halloween. I love it. Now Melt Banana are kind of noisy, kind of abrasive, really loud. My wife called it insanity music, and she did not like me playing it in the house so loudly. I would tend to turn it up pretty loud. It's a four-piece band from Tokyo, and they have an innovative guitar player who's a hemophiliac, a female front, and she's not a sex pot. She's just a incredible vocalist. And they had a female bass player, and they had a kind of a rotating cast of drummers. Very aggressive music. Some of the vocals are in broken English, most of them are in Japanese. Now, if you're going to actually do what Petey recommends, and that's amazing to think someone would do that, you should check out the Melt Banana album called Bambi's Dilemma. Bambi, Bambi, like the movie, Bambi's Dilemma. And you can find this entire album for free on YouTube. Cellscape is another great album by Melt Banana. Also, Fetch is really good. That's when they went as a duo, but you'd never know it. But yeah, Melt Banana will melt your brain. It's an incredible noise rock outfit. Some of my favorite of all time music. It's really excellent stuff. It's an acquired taste. You can't listen to it once and get it. You'll need to put this album on every day for a week. And then it'll click and it'll hit you like a truck, and you won't be able to get away from it for about a year. And you should start with Bambi's Dilemma. Now, getting back to the Shags, he takes them in the studio, and the producer, engineer guys in the studio say, you know what, they're not ready. He says, no, we're going to hit them while they're hot. We got to record this album now. So they do. They produce the Shags' Philosophy of the World. There was 1,000 copies made. 100 of them went around. The other 900 probably stayed at the studio, maybe ended up in the dumpster. We don't really know. The music didn't do anything. It's hideous music. Oftentimes you'll see like a worst album in the world, worst band in the world. It's the Shags. Now, I have to be a little more lenient on them because I think they're more of a conversation piece to me than something you would actually like listen to. And people that have this on their MP3 players do it for shock value. But I'm here today just to tell the story of the Shags because it's such a crazy story. This guy's mom is reading his palm. They're Christians, and she's doing like tea leaf reading on him and telling him. And then it all happens. Like, she predicted they would be in a little band that would have some success. And later on, the dad died. These girls went on to have their own families. They did a reunion recently, and one of them's gone. There's one who's still doing music. She opened up for Neutral Milk Hotel. I think Dottie is still doing it. And there's like reunion stuff where you can see they've got them up there and they're singing, and there's guys reproducing the guitars, including having the tuning being off. And it's like they even sound more polished than what it really was. They can't play as badly but as consistently bad. That's what makes it interesting to me, And eventually, they all went on to abandon this dream. Like I said, the dad passed away, but these records were still out there, and people were trading the tapes. Stuff like the Queen Bee barbecue tapes, if you know about those, and I do. I've known about them since I was a kid, and I have a tape with all that stuff on there that I used to rewind and listen to and laugh. I mean, it's questionable stuff. And in today's day and age, They wouldn't tolerate that. But back in the day, they played it on the radio. So that's my excuse. The Shags got played in the radio. I think it was in Boston. Could be wrong about that. Somewhere like Raleigh, North Carolina. I don't know. Somewhere. It wasn't Chicago. It wasn't L.A. Somewhere over there, they played them. And this guy here, Steve Dahl, not Dahl, Steve Dahl, who was the first shock jock. He predated Howard Stern. He's the Disco Demolition guy. Dahl used to play the Shags, and he knew the whole story. And that's how I picked up on it. And I've been a fan of the Shags since the very early 1980, more than likely. Maybe even before that. Because he used to play it every year on Halloween. And that's the tradition I'm hoping to share with you today. So check out the Shags It's Halloween. I'll put the link in the description. Also, Bambi's Dilemma by Melt Banana, the Mighty Mighty MXBX. They just toured. I missed them again, but I've seen them. I've seen Melt Banana 3 times, and they blew my mind every time I saw them. They were incredible. Really, really good. I was front row once, and that was the worst mosh I was ever in. There was a lot of like I'm punk rock people with their hats on backwards who just go just to throw elbows and fists in the pit and just shove you as hard as they can when you're standing there. You're so most obviously not participating in the mosh. You're just trying to watch the guitar player and see the pedals and pick up something and just getting shoved as hard as they possibly could shove you. That's not cool, man. That's not punk rock. Punk rock was about elevating yourself above that type of bullshit. Punk rock was about a different way. Something smarter. Something less oppressive. It was about freedom. That's not punk rock. Somewhere along when my face is dry, my eye is numb, when that album came out and we had Liverpool via San Bernardino or whatever, San Diego, wherever those guys came from, and we had punk rock with the W at the mall, that type of punk rock, when it went mainstream and it got turned into the mall, what do you call that store in the mall where the kids buy their gothic clothes?
Spencer.
Hot Topic. Mall goth, mall punk. Then it had been dead for a while when that came around, and then you get that. You get somebody just shoving another human being as hard as they possibly can, and that's not punk rock. Anyway, you guys. Be safe, be smart, stay warm, hug your pets. That's the main one. I leave you with the holy word of peace.